Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Megan.
And we are the Synchronicity Sisters. We help you have a new perspective on life. Pretty much, if you want to know more, you can go binge our content all over on social media or check out our website at synchronicity222.com.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about, well, I always have meetings with my mentor on Monday mornings, and today we were talking about feminine energy, and I was asking her, like, because in today's world, women, for the most part, are in their masculine, and men, for the most part, are in their feminine.
Yes.
We were raised in our masculine, and so, every day I work more and more to cultivate both having a very strong, grounded masculine side, because humans are androgynous and we have both energies. And then, so when that masculine side is cultivated and healthier, then my feminine can actually flourish. And so today I was asking her more about femininity and all of these things. And it was interesting because she started to describe me when she met me. And it's never how I would have described myself. So it's quite interesting to hear like what your mentor's take was on you. And she called me a meek coward. And when she met me, and she said, now you are... She said, you have a very strong masculine presence, but you're an extremely potent individual. And I said, okay, does that mean... I said, what does that mean? And she said, so when I met you, your masculine was broken. You were very meek, and you were a doormat, and you were a coward. You would never stick up for yourself. You didn't have any boundaries, and you just did what everybody else wanted you to do. Or your projection of what essentially I was a chameleon. And she said, now, because your masculine has been developed properly and you have a healthy masculine energy to you, your feminine is now able to feel safe and flourish. And so you are becoming more and more balanced every time, I meet with you. And that was a really interesting perspective because I had never thought about, what actually was broken in me was I was in my masculine, but my masculine was broken. I just had never thought about that of like why my feminine was so weak was because my masculine was so broken. And it makes sense. So what she was saying is like, we had to first give you a backbone and develop healthy masculinity within you so that you had a sacred no, and then be able to say that no so that your feminine, you could have feelings and you could step forward in your feminine. And that was such a profound moment of like, so what actually had to be healed was my masculine first, so that my feminine is now being able to feel safe and step forward into the world. And it's kind of an epiphany, I think, for both of us, because when I mentioned it to Nicole, it was kind of like I just had never really had that kind of a comprehension or perspective on that.
Well, I think that's not 100% accurate because we had talked about how for so long we were kind of like paraturnuses where we kind of like floated around and like la-la-la'd. And then that maturity had to happen within our masculine to be able to like ground into our company. But until we found that discipline, we couldn't mature our masculine. And that's really what we're seeing in both men and women in the world right now is like, we sit here and we're like, oh, well, you're collapsing, like men are collapsing into their feminine. Well, women are collapsing into their masculine. And it's literally showing you where the error is, like where the flaw is, right? So like women need to, like you, develop their masculine side first to understand their feminine.
Well, it kind of went along. It kind of went along with our epiphany the other day when I said like, when you're in victimology, you're collapsed into the opposite energy.
Right.
The part that I hadn't put together till I talked to her this morning was just how I had to put it together, but I just hadn't in like those terms of.
I think it was the most shocking aspect was what the word she used to describe you.
She called me a meek coward, and I was like, I would have never thought of myself as meek or a coward, but when I think about it, that's actually very accurate.
But that would make sense because in a woman, if you're collapsed into your masculine, then wounded masculine, right, is meek and cowardly. So that totally does make sense now. Yeah. Were those the words I would have picked? No, but those are the words that she picked, so we're going to go with it. But, you just, it's crazy, and it's like it's so simple, but it's like such a mind fuck, right? Because it's wuss syndrome in women.
Yeah, I mean, I just would have thought of myself as kind of like, well, I mean, I would have thought of myself as kind of, before my healing, of very cold and like disassociated.
But that is.
And I look at it and I was like, well, yeah, that's dark feminine. And my masculine, like, I couldn't stick up for myself. I couldn't set a boundary with men. I would, if I said anything, it would have to be out of anger, not out of love, not from my feelings. Aggressive. Yeah. And so, yeah, I was a meek coward. Like, she actually.
Yeah. Just so, like, right, but it's also like that whole boss, like that masculine shield, right, is really just insecurity. So it makes sense. Like, but you're just meek.
But she was saying my masculine shield wasn't even good. She was quite literally telling me that you didn't even have a good masculine shield because actually, so our framing of a masculine shield is actually completely almost incorrect in it, because when a woman's feminine is immature, then her masculine is immature.
Right.
And it's basically a knight without the ability to defend his world, which would be, or the feminine, right? So my masculine, like, had a stick and was like poking people,
but it's
versus
still
like a knight in shining armor with a sword that I feel like my masculine is now, of like, fuck around and find out. But it's just an energy frequency, right? Like,
right.
But before it was like, oh, don't do that. Oh, you're mean. Like, it's like,
but it's still a masculine shield. It's just what level of masculinity, and like that's a bitch.
That's called a bitch shield. That's not a masculine shield. You can't even call it a masculine shield. I can't even call it that anymore after she said that, because that was like it's like a water weenie that like can't get hard. But my dick wasn't even good at like fighting back.
Okay, so but out of all the women we've worked with, and like if you now in perspective, if we think about it, a masculine shield is that. It is a water weenie. A girl with a water weenie. Like,
well, yeah, because she can't walk away. She can't say no. She can't find a man, because
it's limp dick woman energy.
And when I think of all of my exes are basically limp dicks. Like, the guys that I'm seeing now are so much more like masculine, and I actually like respect them. Versus, like, when I think of any of my exes, like, they couldn't stand up for themselves. They were a reflection of my water weenie wuss shield that like couldn't even get their dick up for the right purpose, right? It was for other women, essentially. Like, they would all cheat on me, or did cheat on me, and now it's like, that's not masculinity, that's collapsed feminine in a man. And it was because I had wuss syndrome.
Yep.
I was like, I can't believe, like, I just would never have thought of myself as like wimpy. And of course, like, this is an Aries saying that, so totally my ego, but you know, when I really think back, yeah, like, I couldn't tell a man no and walk away and love myself enough to say no to them. I'd stay in really dysfunctional relationships hoping they would change, not realizing like I needed to change. It's just a really like profound moment of, again, you know, Nicole and I are healing too, and we might be a little bit ahead, but now I'm seeing like this perspective entirely differently of like, yeah, I see this in our clients too, of like, oh, right. They'll say they want to do something, but then they won't do it. That's wuss syndrome in a woman or a man, either one.
But it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I think psychologically, like, we've been doing it. We just haven't realized we've been doing it. It's like a lot of our clients we actually work on their, like, I think of a few of them, right? We cultivate both energies. And when we cultivate both of them, they mature together.
Yeah.
Like, it's just funny that you're like having this epiphany within yourself because you've already done it.
I've already done it.
And you just...
Well, she wouldn't have said that to me unless I was ready to hear it.
Well, but that's the thing is like, now hindsight, you're like, oh, this is connecting all the dots. This makes a lot more sense. But it just goes to show that life is truly a mirror. So, like, if you're attracting wussy men or really super masculine women, there's a reason. Mm-hmm. If you're a man and you're attracting hyper masculine women and you're like such a wuss, you gotta check yourself. But then, like, opposite, right? So that means your masculinity is broken and you're looking for a mother, because she'll most likely mother you, because, you know, that's what she does. Ask me how I know. And then men and women, if you're attracting wuss men, it's because your masculine is broken, because you're just mirroring each other. Like, a wuss man, yeah, I mean, now I just like think about it and I'm like, ugh. Well, it is true. It's like water weenie level. Like, you don't stand up for yourself in any situation. Like, but it's both men and women.
Yeah. I mean,
Some people call it doormat, some people call it narcissist, but like at the end of the day, it's really just a balance of energy and realizing what energy frequency you're in and cultivating both of them at the same time.
yeah, I mean, you're attracted to really like exactly what you are.
Yeah.
And so I have an answer to my theory of only being able to bond once, or thinking that like alphas only fall in love once and then they objectify. If you heal, it goes away.
It goes away.
Because it's eclipse season too, so the energy is really shifting right now. But like,
It's wild.
last night in the car, Nicole and I were talking about this, and it's like the first time in my life. And it's funny that then my mentor said that to me today, because she's so tapped into like everything that's going on. But you know, I have just felt such a massive shift lately, and I think it's my own energy shifting of like, I truly will not settle. I have no desire, and I used to think like, oh, I've got to, you know, I'm in my 30s, and I had a birthday over the weekend, which is also why we took a few days off. But
We slept.
but I think it's just coming to the realization of like what I actually deserve, and it's just so differently than how we were raised or like what we had been taught. You know, because our masculine is equal to the men that were in our lives at the time when we were raised. And it's even standing up to that authority. I've been, you know, our dad and I have been having, he's been shocked that but I finally am standing up to him too.
Well, but you know, that's a great example of like the fathers these days, they're not protecting because their masculinity is broken. They don't stand up to the feminine, because a lot of this is actually really quite amazing. And if this was actually like planned, I don't know if I truly believe that this was like all planned to like take down humanity, like all these theories. But if that conspiracy theory is actually true, it's actually fucking brilliant.
The feminist movement was to destroy masculinity.
Yeah, so it's actually really fucking brilliant. No, I mean like before even that, like introducing like all of these other things, like, you know, we talk about like Margaret, what was her name, who started Planned Parenthood. Like, okay, like she clearly was an evil human,
right?
You know, but was she human? In my perspective, she was evil as hell. Like that, she's fucking Satan because she was wanting to kill babies. But you know, that's my opinion. But when in her lens, was she doing the best that she thought she could do for the world? You know, like
no, I think she was an evil bitch.
Okay,
and if you read like Nefarious or Outwitting the Devil,
yeah,
I think a lot of this, you know,
is planned,
willing or unwilling, knowing or unknowing, we're in a spiritual battle.
Yes,
and if you don't wake up and step in and do this work, I'm telling you, it is not easy, but it is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it. And today I stand here more so than I even did yesterday of like, every step we have taken has been worth it. And it's been grueling at times. And I have
been a lot of tears,
been a bitch about it at other times of like, why me, poor me, and been in my own victimology because I have a whoosh shield. Now I have a masculine
I'm going to
shield.
buy you a pink glittery water weenie for your desk.
That's right. And I'll like when I'm being a bitch, I'm
going to buy one on Amazon and give it to you.
Water weenie.
To go with your pink dick goggles.
But no, it's just like such a change of understanding in the consciousness of like, you know, you're only ever at odds with yourself. Like 100%. All of my exes, I have so much gratitude for, but I never want to even like, I'm actually so repulsed by them at this point in time. I have a lot of empathy for where they're at because I've been there, but like I have no interest in ever dating a man like that ever again. And also realizing like feminine, we make the rules and we are really just failing. And it's so much better on this side of things and not dating feminine men that make you feel like shit all the time. And there are men out there that are willing to step in, but we have to cultivate that. And now that my masculine is just like, nope, not tolerating that. Nope, like if you don't want to make, you know, this feel safe or, you know, you're not on the same spiritual journey as me, then just forget it. And I don't feel a loss of losing that person. It's just kind of like we're on different pages. And, you know, before it was like such a trigger of abandonment. And now, because I don't abandon myself, I don't have abandonment triggers.
Well, and like I was saying, is like whether this was like on purpose or not, whether you believe it was on 100%. Purpose or not, like there's definitely, you know, There's some things I would like to think because,
Have you met Taylor Swift?
okay, no, I haven't met her. I mean, she's an interesting human. Anyways,
She's crazy.
whether this is, to take down the masculine.
She's
all
got a
of the
wish
things.
shield.
Yeah, she does. I don't know. I think she's a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
And Travis Kelce
no.
is definitely a bitch.
I have so many things to say about
Actually,
that girl.
I mean, he is a linebacker, but he's probably still a bitch. I feel like he's just a doormat. I feel like she just like bulldozes over him, and he just does whatever she wants when she wants. Like, she fucks him, he probably doesn't fuck her.
She doesn't have a water weenie. She has a strap on.
It's probably pink and glittery. Probably. Oh well, here we are. But whether you believe that this is like happening, all of this is planned or not, it's crazy to look at it like generationally though. Like, the boomer generation, how much like the men in that culture or in that like generation have gotten like they're soft. I mean, I think the last like true masculinity was like post World War II or Vietnam. Like, they were still men. They still like fought for something. Now it's like, I don't even know what I am.
I think it's been a long time since there's been healthy masculinity. I will give it that. They might have been men, but I think that they had issues stepping into, their feminine energy, because we have both. So they had overly developed masculine with not the development of the feminine on both ends, because it's all about balance, right? So they were in victimology because they were like hyper masculine. There's a balance that we're trying to step into, and I think it's really been since like ancient Egypt or like ancient times where there was actually a balance when they talk about like...
That's fair, because they ruled,
Shakti and Shiva and Osiris and
they
Isis
ruled
and
together side by side.
Right, because it even talks about in Outwitting the Devil and things like how when masculine and feminine truly are balanced and are in a relationship, that darkness can't touch them. There's a divinity to the alignment of feminine and masculine. And when you're balanced, you're going to have a balanced partner. And when you keep your side of the street clean, odds are they'll do their work too, because you guys are mirrors. So, I absolutely think energy harvesting and...
energy harvesting is real. Have you seen the Super Bowl?
Is real.
That's just whack.
So they've created a slave race where they just harvest energy, because if you actually stepped into your divinity and balanced your energy, then they have people they can't control. And control is power and hedonism, and they're drunk on
power.
Drunk on it.
Yeah, drunk on energy. I mean, the scrolling, I was like on Instagram the other day, and I saw this thing, and it was like, it was a robot, and it was like scrolling, right? And it was like going through it, and it was calculating the amount of like energy you waste. It was fascinating. And then I was like, oh, look, I'm stuck on this, and I'm giving this my energy. I'm going to stop now. But anyways, today's topic was really fascinating because it was like, really, it is truly the balance of the masculine and feminine. But if you're in one of them, you need to look at the other one, because it's right. It's just like anything. It's like weightlifting or yoga. Like, you work one side of the body, you have to work the other side. If you work if you work the frontier chain, you have to work the posterior chain. Like so many people talk about, I have tight shoulders, I have tight this, I have tight that. Well, like, are you looking at the other muscles? Are you looking at the other energy frequencies? So often, like, men are, if you're collapsed into your feminine, like, where's your masculine at? Because you need to cultivate one or the other, or you need to cultivate your feminine so you can step into your full masculine and protect your own femininity, and vice versa for women. And really just like ask yourself, like, whoa, like, do I identify with this? Because this is definitely a mind fuck. I have some processing still I need to do after we had this conversation, and I think you do too.
But yeah, I mean, I'm constantly processing.
Always. Megan is a constant processor.
But if you like us, share us, comment, subscribe, do all of the things wherever platform you're on. We love to hear from you.
Yes.
And
ladies, they're still opening in our masterclass starting in the beginning of May. We'll be diving a lot deeper even into working on cultivating your masculine and feminine while dating. So head over to the Stand Store, check it out, join us. It's going to be so much fun, and it's a great community of women. Great community of women. Anything else? No? All right. Bye.